Greetings, denizens of the tri-state area. Jacob Weil here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Dragon, I know what we're going to do today. We're going to activate the Recap-inator and discuss my favorite cartoon, Phineas and Ferb. That's right, in honor of the 15th anniversary and in preparation for the upcoming revival. I'm guiding Blue Dragon 5 here through the series, experiencing his reactions, watching it for the first time, and reliving my summer memories throughout the years. Today's episodes are Lost in Danville and the Inator Method. So kind of some important words up front. These are the last two. This is the last episode where it's two individual segments, Dragon. The remaining 6 episodes are either hour-long specials or one 2-minute or one 2-part episode. So what do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I would hope that the episodes that we're getting are going to be big enough to warrant the run times.
Well, I think they should be, personally. But yeah, I won't be able to say upcoming revival for much longer, will I, Dragon?
No. Well, I mean, right now you can, but next week not so much.
Because the 5th season literally begins airing next week.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's kind of fitting that we end our last two segments on the cusp of the new season.
Of course, now everyone else is going to be recapping Phineas and Ferb. We did it first.
Yep. Yeah. Sure. So, Dragon, do you want to tell them what we have planned for the revival, or do you want to wait until the final episode to do that?
Let's wait.
All right, we can wait. And then let's get into Lost in Danville, shall we?
Lost in Danville.
So yeah. So Dragon, before I get into a little bit of the background, what do you think of the episode?
Well, oh, sorry, let me rephrase that. Well,
well,
I got to admit the parody aspect of this went completely over my head, but the first watch. But I enjoyed it. Of course, I really love our Doofenshmirtz plot line. I thought it was really funny. Our main plot again, was a little iffy, but again, given the parody, it was on brand for being iffy.
Yep. And so leading into some of the background, I mean, do you recognize the name of the person who wrote the story for this episode?
Why, as a matter of fact, I did, Jacob.
All right, so Damon Lindelof.
Yes, of Lost fame.
And I'm sure, and you've watched the other shows he's done, right?
I've watched that. Here's the thing, I haven't watched Lost. I've watched pretty much a lot of the other stuff that Lindelof's done. I've watched Lindelof. Of course, he did Tomorrowland. He did The Leftovers, and he's. Didn't
he also do the new Watchmen?
Yes, he did the new. Yes, he did the new Watchmen.
All right. So you might be wondering, what the heck is he doing here?
It's a good question.
It all stems back to when one day when he was watching when his son with his very young son.
That would have been so much more impressive. Lindelof just watched it without any youngsters to just motivate him to watch it.
Well, the thing is, his son was originally watching things like Caillou, which is terrible.
Oh yeah, Caillou is an abomination.
But the thing is, his son thought so too. His son was completely he did this and then that happened.
My dad created Lost. I'm so much better than this show. So much better than Caillou. We can do better, can't we, Dad? You're right, son. We can.
Well, but the thing is, one day he's
Dad, why do you look like Caillou? Shut up. I'm gonna do Phineas and Ferb now.
But what happened was his son watched Phineas and Ferb and Damon was like, oh my god, Damon, to his dad. He was like, "Oh my God, Dad! Gosh, Dad, this show is so amazing. They did this, they did that, and all that." He's like, "Okay, I have to check this show out now."
Got a kid whose face is like a traffic cone, and he's got this dead-eyed look. You gotta watch it, Father.
But it's like he, of course, also fell in love with the show, and even moderated the 2012 Comic-Con panel for this show too. That's where he actually told the story of like how his son started watching the show.
Right.
And also, but there was also one day when I think he might have been with his son, but he was sometimes like offer tours of these kinds of like during the production facilities and all that.
Yeah.
Like he was on tour. He was touring one day and asked the creators like, "Who is Peter the Panda's nemesis?" And they're like, "We don't know." It's like, and so they invited him to write the episode, and that's how he got involved. Pretty fun, huh?
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of the stuff with the polar bear, like the polar bear, the names like Denise and Bernie are parodies of Desmond and Penny. And you'll never believe this, Dragon. Like one of the central figures in that show, especially around season, like in the end of season 5 and 6, is named Jacob. I just figured that out today.
And they must have really ran out of names on that one.
Hey.
Of all the better names anyone could have picked, you could have thrown a dart and hit a better name than Jacob. I mean, come on.
Well, Dragon, I think they went with the more biblical aspect of his name.
Oh yes, of course.
I mean, seriously, Dragon. It's kind of there's not a lot of characters out there with that name, so I'm kind of glad there is one that I'm aware of.
No, I'm sure there are other Jacobs.
Not a lot of them. But also guest starred Terry O'Quinn, who voiced Professor Mystery, was involved in that show. And moving aside from Lost, there are the other two guest stars in this are Rob Morrow as Bernie. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
And I know Rob Morrow from some. I know Rob Morrow. I'm trying to think of.
I think his most famous work is Numbers.
All right.
He was also in Tri-State Treasure episode. And another one you might be more familiar with. Do you remember Malcolm in the Middle?
Yeah.
Jane Kaczmarek voiced Denise.
Oh, hey.
Yep.
Lois from Malcolm in the Middle. Yes, the mother from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, the other one. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but
anyway.
Right. Yes. Bryan Cranston's other TV wife.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to say.
There you go. The one he's got a taste in kind of reviled TV wives. If you ever notice.
I mean, I wouldn't have noticed because I haven't seen either Malcolm in the Middle or past the first few episodes of Breaking Bad. But I've only seen the first few episodes of Breaking Bad, so I don't know much about how Skylar continues.
Yeah, Skylar, it's kind of it's a rough start with Skylar, but she gets better.
All right. And I don't know anything about Lois from Malcolm in the Middle.
That's pretty much what you see is what you get throughout the whole series on Lois, so you're kind of stuck with that one.
I still want to watch that show, though. It looks pretty good.
Well, I mean, honestly, look, if I just do a supercut, which, I mean, the advent of YouTube, I probably could. If I just do a supercut of all the Hal stuff, I think that'd be good.
Bryan Cranston.
As I'm saying, like, Hal was always the best part of that show. Everything else was like, I don't know, it just wasn't my taste.
All right.
I mean, if I ever went back to it, sure, it's just very unlikable family. It's just Hal's hysterical.
I mean, it helps that it's also one of the few sitcoms not to have a laugh track.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
So that's about it for the background. So let's get into it, shall we?
All right, so Phineas is asking the important questions, like how do we get toothpaste into the tube?
And also, how do they make it swirl?
I know the answer to that.
Yeah?
Not the swirl. I mean, the swirl kind of goes hand in hand with the tube thing, but so the...
So how do they get it into the tube?
So it's a series of kind of like it's a machine. You remember that scene in Charlie and Chocolate Factory, the remake? You know, like the 2005 Tim Burton one.
Yeah,
You know, we see like Charlie's dad, who actually is in this movie and not dead or just gone, like he is from Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory.
which is I think is closer to the book, but yeah.
Well, yeah, no, that's right. You're right. It's close to the book. Like Charlie's dad's around, but that guy, he worked he put the caps on the toothpaste at the factory. So basically, at that factory, there's a machine that basically kind of pumps like the goop, like the toothpaste into the tube. So that's how they do it. It's like a series of kind of like pumps and nozzles.
All right, and then
Presumably, it's like a chemical mixture process in which they kind of have like kind of like two like different tubes, probably like like kind of swirl around and put it in there. That's probably how they do the two colors.
but the fun fact, continuing the fun facts about toothpaste, I know what the little marks and like the little colored blocks at the end of the tubes are for.
Yeah.
They're for like they're like for where the machines to cut it. Like the machine reads it and they cut the tube.
There you go.
You know where to cut it and seal it.
Yep. I always every time I think of toothpaste from my youth, I always thought of the Inspector Gadget, where it's like he always just randomly had toothpaste instead of the oil slick, which made no design sense whatsoever. But it was always like a cool, fun, random, very Nickelodeon-esque idea.
Like, are you talking about the movie one?
Yeah,
or...
the Inspector Gadget movie. Like it was the only time they ever had like the toothpaste come out like that, where it was like the arm had like a cannon built into it that shot out toothpaste.
Because I was wondering, because that does sound like it would work in the cartoon as well.
I know it does. It really does. But yeah, it's awesome.
All right, so enough of like we're not going to go off on a toothpaste tangent much as you people probably want us to talk about toothpaste.
Always like one of the coolest gadgets that he had in that movie. It was just a big, because it was just like so much and it was so messy and fun.
Like they're just talking about toothpaste. Candace is listening to her new album, but suddenly a mysterious object falls from the sky.
This is where Lindelof enters the episode.
Pretty much, yeah.
Big mystery capsule.
Yeah, but they're trying to figure out what it could be. It's like beginning with the toothpaste, the capsule, and now they're wondering where Perry's. Like, we're up to our armpits in enigmas.
It's a good line. I think Riddler said that once.
Which Riddler?
No, I'm kidding. They never said that. But can you imagine though? If I had to pick a Riddler, I mean, I don't know. I'd love to think the animated series Riddler would say that, but that's just me.
Or at least the '66 one would.
Yeah, no, he would actually. Yeah, he would get away with that. I'm just saying. I think it'd be funnier though if the other one said it.
Like the Frank Gershwin one would. I think the Frank Gershwin one would probably say that.
No, Frank Gorshin would absolutely say it. Yeah, that's the sixth one.
Gorshin. I said Gershwin. Yeah.
Yeah. Gargling Gershwin.
Yeah. But Frank Gorshin. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like so Monogram informs Perry that Doofenshmirtz has gone missing. And he immediately leaves. Sometimes I think he only comes here just to get his missions.
Monogram being perceptive on that one.
Yep, it's like he's kind of upset about it too. Like Perry just throws himself into his work. Do you think Perry would be considered a workaholic?
Well, I mean, he doesn't want to come in for work. They call him, and he just doesn't say no. So he's not the workaholic.
But you can tell he's concerned for Doof's safety, right?
Yeah, no, that was a nice touch.
Yep. So
I love Perry the Platypus just kind of pulling a Batman here, where he's using kind of like his deductive skills to kind of piece together what's what happened, and we kind of show like Doofenshmirtz being kidnapped, including like, oh, not my sandwich.
Hey, that's my lunch.
My lunch.
It's like, and so analyzing the footprints, they come back with coffee grounds and rainwater.
Which, of course,
Seattle.
Yep. No. All this tossed salad and scrambled eggs.
They're calling again.
Yep.
Fraser has left the building.
Yep. Every time we go to Seattle and Phineas and Ferb, I'm just thinking, especially the end of this episode feels very Cafe Nervosa, and I love
it. Yep. I can see where you're coming from on that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, And unfortunately, I don't think that Kelsey Grammer is guest starring in the 5th season.
If they ever go to Seattle again, we need the kills. He's
Yep.
reeling from the cancellation of the second Frasier. We need to give the kills something.
Well, he's gonna be He's gonna be in the new Avengers. I think so, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, yeah.
So, and he loves playing Beast. We all know that.
Oh yeah, especially now. He doesn't have to actually be there in the makeup now.
Do you still think / hope for a season 3? I'm guessing of Frasier.
Well, I mean, look, I really do hope for it because again, the idea was that David Hyde Pierce was going to pop up, presumably by the 3rd season. And it feels like that show had 3 seasons in it. It really feels like now, mind you, I know they were always the hope they just keep going and going, but it really feels like that show has a shelf life. Like the revival can only go on for so long, and it feels like the advent of streaming the way we do it now, it feels like if they were smart enough, they would have ended it at 3, or at the very least built to an ending. And knowing how, if they were brought back for 3, they probably know, okay, look, we probably don't have a lot in us here, so we're really going to end it. So we're going to make it special. We're going to bring in David Hyde Pierce.
And was Jane Leaves in any of it?
No.
Ah,
So I'd say would have brought her back as well.
that's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, if you bring back Niles, you have to bring back Daphne.
Well, yeah. They mentioned Niles and Daphne. We don't see them though.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yep.
Anyway, it's like, so yeah, Doof has been captured by a mysterious entity.
A mysterious Seattle-based entity that is not Frasier Crane.
Like,
he's in Frasier Town, but not Frasier Crane.
It's like, you know, I remember I was watching a bit of Storks recently. I was watching Storks recently. Remember how he was in that?
Yep. Power move.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines from the. Like, do you know why I built my office out of glass, even though birds can't see glass?
Why? Power move.
After 2 birds crash into it.
God.
But do you know? I'm sure you probably know this, considering how much you like watching deleted scenes and all that. But did you actually know that, like, there was like a plan for him to, instead of being a stork, actually be disguised? He'd be a crane disguised as a stork.
That I did not know.
Yeah, he's like, I'm actually a crane.
Oh my God! Had they made him a crane?
I think
that would have been perfect. But it would have been such a cash-in joke.
Yeah, I think that's why they didn't go with it.
Yeah. Oh, do you remember remind me? How deep did you go with Frasier?
I've gotten like half a season in. I've seen episodes throughout the series. But...
Okay, there was an episode of Frasier in which he was kind of desperate for PR, essentially, or like kind of some. But his agent was like trying to. So essentially, he was on the outs with BB, his agent. BB was, the idea she's very scrupulous, very just underhanded, pretty much like, successful business evil, And Frasier always had ethical problems with her, and he refused to, basically kind of separate. He kind of broke up with her, and he found like another agent who was like a very ethical, very moral, very sweet guy. And the problem was this guy, despite his being a very nice guy, he was a terrible agent. He sucked at his job so much. And there was this bit where he basically got Frasier like a gig where he was like, like doing the dedication or like doing like a little, like the introduction to a. He went to a zoo, and at the zoo they had like a crane, like a new crane exhibit. So they had this crane, and it was. Like the crane got out, was chasing poor Martin Crane around, and it's like going after him. So the idea was like the crane would have been like a little fainting couch, like psychiatry couch. It would have made for like a photo op or something, and it's just
crane versus crane.
Yeah, exactly. So it was this whole fiasco, and like by the end of the episode, Frasier was like, the idea is it was because of contract negotiations, the pressure was on. Like BB was giving everyone else that she was representing a KCAL really good deals, and like, come on, Frasier, just swallow your pride, just go back with her. And even BB was like, oh, Frasier, how can you? It's just like the full Katharine Hepburn thing. It's like, oh, Frasier, I can't stand to look at you like this. Come on, go back to BB. And it was this thing where Freddy's like, no, I can't. And then the happy, the happy-go-lucky agent kind of walked in and just he basically he was such a nice guy. He did all this like volunteer work and stuff. So he like takes off his jacket and he's like in the Boy Scout uniform because he's like leading a Boy Scout troop. And Freddy's like, oh god, he couldn't do it in that moment. He basically just went right to BB.
That's funny.
Yep.
So Phineas has some unorthodox idea of ways on how to open the capsule. Like they tried using this new machine to see what's inside. That doesn't work. Then
but we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
They use the Z-ray.
The Z-ray, yes.
Let's go about the Z-ray. Z-ray in consequence is a different letter than X. But the point being, the way in which they use the Z-ray. Did you notice how they were dressed?
Yes, they're dressed in those bodysuits.
What did the bodysuits remind you of, Jacob?
Tron? No, not Tron. But
think hard now. Think about it.
Clover? No.
Older than Tron, Jacob. Older than Tron.
Older than Tron.
You're close. Come on. Think about it hard. Think about how they looked. Exactly how they looked.
During the TV presentation in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Aha! Yes! Right there! Clear as crystal, black and white.
Yep, now that I think about it.
It's the Mike TV section. They're all wearing the outfits because they look little eye slits and everything. Same color, same everything. It's a throwback to Willy Wonka.
Wonkavision.
Wonkavision. Extremely dangerous and untested.
Yep, and so he just tested in front of everyone.
Yep.
Like to beam chocolate into people's TV.
Yep.
Yeah. Because there's no logistical problems with that, is there, Dragon?
No. It was the precursor to WandaVision.
Oh God.
So let's see. So while that's going on, everything's a bust. Z-Ray's a bust.
The question is, what happened to the Y-ray?
Why do you ask that, Jacob?
Yes, why?
The Y-ray. Well, they spent too much time questioning it. They had to move on to the next letter.
To Z.
Yep, and then there was like a bunch of power-ups and, just a lot of fight going on. Basically had Phineas is like, kind of going, his hair turned yellow, was the whole thing. You had Isabel's already wearing purple, with a little orange scarf thingy. Little Shaw. I think Baljeet technically was Krillin, so he kind of shaved the head.
And folks, we're talking about this. If you're wondering why we're talking about this, we were talking about it before this show came on, before we went live. So just a little explanation there.
I guess in the terms of the fan casting, beyond that would probably be, I guess Ferb would be Vegeta, right?
I mean, yes, because you probably don't want to make him Raditz because he died.
Well, yeah.
And so does that mean Vanessa would be Bulma?
I mean, look, if you ask, I want to say Vanessa's Bulma, okay, but but again, I can't be happy, so we can't have that. Okay. In my heart of hearts, Vanessa would be Bulma, but it's probably Candace. Honestly, here's the Candace is kind of Chi-Chi, but then for a number of reasons, I don't think we can have that.
Yeah.
I think I'm saying in terms of Chi-Chi's unflattering moments in Dragon Ball Z kind of fits more Candace.
Yeah, this is kind of going all off the rails here.
Yeah, we should probably just.
So Phineas, speaking of going off the rails, Phineas first tries opening the capsule with a battle axe, with apparently with a dwarf warrior named Dumpamir, which doesn't really make any sense, does it?
Yep, and he's just saying, this was Stormbreaker.
So yeah, Phineas, he's going with all kinds of unorthodox methods. Like Like, we can't open it? Use the battle axe. And then what does he do next, Dragon? Dragon? He drops a metric ton of pianos on top of them. On top of it. What do you think of Phineas's method there? Like, what do you think he was hoping to accomplish by dropping so many pianos on it?
It's very Looney Tunes. Very much kind of a Duck Dodger solution there.
Yeah, it's like, except Duck Dodger's solution probably would have somehow worked in the end. Inexplicably. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Alright. So, of course, Buford then explains that many generations of his family carried this key. But only it turns out he just found it on the other side of the fence. And what happens? Who's inside? Who is inside the capsule, Dragon?
Well, seemingly Phineas.
Phineas from the future.
Well, I suspect that's a few episodes down the line before we actually do that.
Yep. Nope, it's not Phineas from the future. Then he tries to claim he's Baljeet from the future. It's like, wait, I'm not
Indian in the future.
And then he's like, okay, I'm you from the future, pointing to Isabella.
That cracked me up. It's, okay, so the idea of this guy is just completely
he's nuts.
Oh, he's completely delusional.
I think being in space for so long has kind of driven him a bit mad.
Oh yeah, I was picking up on that. Yeah.
And then his wife comes out like, hey, quit telling them from the future. So yeah. Then before that though, we find out exactly who kidnapped Doofenshmirtz. The mysterious Professor Mystery. The mystery is his whole allure.
This guy was a lot of fun.
Yep.
This is the antithesis to Doofenshmirtz in every way, and I loved it.
Yeah, he's like, it turns out he is Peter the Panda's nemesis. And Doofenshmirtz tries to spell it out to him that the reason why they're having communication problems is because, well, Professor Mystery is so mysterious that he doesn't even expel any backstory or explain what his innators do, leaving Peter the Panda basically with a lack of communication. Kind of bringing it. Like, you remember way back when I mentioned in the very first season episode, it's about time? This is the episode I was referencing back then.
Really?
Yep. That was Damon Lindelof's favorite episode.
Oh.
And that's why he decided to write this. That's why he wanted to know, and that's why they brought him on to write this.
Wait, so which one was his favorite?
It's about time.
Okay.
So yeah. So what do you think of the whole dynamic here between, like, Professor Mystery and Peter the Panda here?
Professor Mystery and Peter the Panda.
And Doofenshmirtz being involved as well.
Well, I mean, look, just Doofenshmirtz having no patience for Enigma, just period. Just it's the idea of just he just doesn't like, it's like, oh, this is great. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Just so sarcastically, he learns that he was the other nemesis in like this affair that went on. Well, we always have treated like, Doofenshmirtz and Peter the Panda is kind of like this Nemesi affair.
Nemesi affair?
Nemesi, you know what I mean.
What do you mean? Actually, no, I don't. I know you're referencing the gag we do, but where'd you get Nemesi from?
Yeah, nemesis.
Yeah, like are you looking for the plural of nemesis?
Yes.
It's nemesis.
Or like not the plural, but the individual, like, the part of the nemesis relationship.
Then it's just the other nemesis.
All right, fine.
I don't think nemesi is a word.
Sounds like it could be, though.
Yeah, I
It's
guess.
not, but it could be.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah, not remotely though. So,
So yeah, Doofenshmirtz finds out that he's the other scientist.
yep.
even though he doesn't have much room to talk, considering that he is the one who was having the other agent.
So Doofenshmirtz is very on point. He's playing like counselor and just kind of like
a relationship counselor.
Yeah, and he encourages backstory and communication. And this guy, I love the moment where he realized, like, well, how do you explain your evil backstory? He says, wait.
like you don't explain your evil backstory. Like he's like, no.
I just love like the shock of like, what? Oh my! He's just so.
He's like,
it's
no.
Like the craziest thing to him.
He's like, no wonder Peter the Panda does it. It's like, oh god, and they're really doubling down the whole. This is like a relationship kind of thing, like a dating kind of thing, almost.
Yeah.
Oh my god. As if it wasn't pushing enough buttons as it was, right, Dragon?
Yeah.
They even called it a authority call.
The authority call was don't diminish him like that. It's a really funny line.
It's like, I mean, you only have to wonder if the censors were sleeping when they came up with that line.
Well, it's just thwarting.
Yeah, but it's a reference to a booty call.
Yeah, but it's this thwarting though.
You know what a booty call is.
I am aware what a booty call is, but I'm saying they're not saying booty call. Though.
I know, but it's a reference to one.
Yeah, but I think it's a clever way around it, like the authority call.
Yeah.
I'm impressed they got it in there. Yes, it's edgy, but I'm saying I think they were cushioned enough from the booty to get away with it.
Oh god!
Like SpongeBob, I don't know if they'd be so lucky getting away with that.
It's like, well, they have like it's not the person in the boots, it's the booty.
Exactly. So yeah, I guess I'm saying that's as close as I can recall they've ever gotten with that. We're all your booty, so they've said that much.
Yep. And they also do reference booty as in, like treasure and things.
Well, yeah, that's their workaround there.
Let's face it, they find all kinds of ways to sneak in certain words. Like, as I pointed out, even this show does that occasionally. And I'll quit that saying the song here is really good. Talk to him? Yeah, it is a great song. What do you, Dragon, wouldn't you say so?
It is. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Yep.
Love it. It's great. I mean, I love my favorite part of this is like how the chorus girls get in. They're union.
They'll travel.
Yeah.
So at least we know he pays his backup dancers well.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Plus I love we give him both episodes, by the way.
Yep. Well, at least that didn't have to travel very far. Right? At least in the next episode, they didn't have to travel very far.
Yeah.
But he has two different kinds of backup dancers here. Like, they're kind of dressed in, like, muscle shirts and, like, evil, like, scientists wear. The next one, they're, like, wearing showgirl outfits. It's like, so it's like, do you think he also pays for the costumes, or do you think they provide their own?
Well, I think... No, I think, you know what? I mean, there's always this unseen rehearsal process, so we never know, like, how much really goes, like, how much, like, prep time goes into these things. I mean, Doofenshmirtz has, ordinarily in his schemes, he has lead time. This, I have no idea, this is just completely, just, like, on a whim. So, I mean, if there's prep time, I think Doofenshmirtz is springing for the outfits. In the moment, though, I mean, it feels like the chorus girls might just have the outfits.
Yep. And then again, we're looking for logistics in something that doesn't make sense. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do you think? I mean, I think Doof is... I mean, it's clear he pays them well, or at least they're unionized, so he at least respects them that much.
Yeah.
He doesn't just, like, call them in and just... You get what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
So what happens next then, Dragon?
Let's see. What was I... Sorry, let me... what was I getting? Okay, so yes, we've unlocked the capsule. By the way, you tilting that camera.
Yep. There we
You
go.
couldn't help yourself from a cameo in both episodes, could you?
I guess
You couldn't let anyone else get a line. You couldn't let the farmer and his wife get a line, could you? Like the business entrepreneur guy. You couldn't let him get in there. No. It had to be you.
I don't think I even spoke in this episode, right?
No, I think you said sorry or something. Yeah, like a little kind of ancillary line. This one.
Yeah, that's about it, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But still, you had to appear. Had to work yourself in.
Yep,
Had to push your little button, didn't you? Had to push the little button of the plot. Look at me. I'm Jacob. I'm animated. I'm in the episode now.
Yep, that's me.
Yep.
It's like, and why are we? I wonder if that is also probably a reference to Lost.
We'll just. No, yeah, that's what they did. There were like a bunch of little shots, like we saw, like the hourglass and everything, and the tilt. It felt very Losty.
I'm guessing that a lot of the neither Dragon or I have watched Lost.
Yeah, I'm saying they felt like very specific touches that are probably in Lost. Unfortunately, our Lost expert, I would ask him to maybe tune into the comments. He did not get back to me, so so we're completely blind on Lost.
Like so
we're lost on Lost.
I even put that as the joke caption in the caption. Like, I'm so lost, but I wrote Lost in all caps. So, yeah, we're lost. Like, if there's any references that we don't understand, it's probably Lost.
Yeah.
I mean, because the wiki is actually mentioning like some of the allusions to Lost, but it's obviously not referencing all of them.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Hatch storyline is taken from the show, and as I said, the polar bear is also a reference to the show. I don't know how it is, but this episode probably hits harder with fans of Lost. Yep, probably does. So Dragon. It turns out Denise and Bernie's hamster was running, trying to contain the black hole. But it's exposed to atmosphere. It got tired and is threatening to suck everyone in.
This feels like a very Lost. I mean, look, I want to be very clear again. I know, like very, very, very like narrow slivers of Lost. I don't know, just
yeah, me too.
like basically there's an island, there's a plane crash, there's an island, there's like flashes to past plot lines, something about Christmas, and the ending made people find dissatisfying, and some of my Bates Motel alumni featured into the show.
Like, why did it end in a church?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm talking about there.
I think so, yeah.
Batman Arkham City?
Yeah.
Yep. Of course, Paul Dini having written for both.
Yes.
You do know he wrote for Lost too, right?
Well.
All right, just wanted to double check.
Yeah, no, I'm well aware.
All right,
Tiki's pitched me on it. I know.
All right, I didn't know. I'm just checking. All right, so
point being,
yeah.
Okay, so the point being, this whole the all important hamster wheel,
which also powers Norm.
Yeah.
But not in this case because Norm isn't in this episode.
I'm just going to throw something out there because we don't really have occasion to talk about it. You've already kind of talked about it. We haven't really had occasion to talk about it. Just in bringing up hamster wheel, of course, I'm thinking like hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel.
Gantu's been getting a lot of love because a lot of people missed him recently. So it's really nice to see the groundswell of support for Gantu.
I brought that up when I did my solo stream on the movie.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm sure you did.
Yep, I brought it up. I think he probably could have been fit in, and it still would have worked. But maybe they'll.
I'm just saying, regardless, just the fact that everyone it shows you like, man, people really liked Gantu. That was nice.
I mean, I think most of the people's love of him stems from more like the series than the actual original movies.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, he's still really cool. Look, Jacob, even in a vacuum, Gantu was really cool in the original movie.
No, Dragon, I'm not denying that, but he only plays like a minor part in the original movie, like in the very beginning and a scene in the middle and the climax.
Yeah.
I like it, but like I said, I think people learned to love him more when it came to the series than anything else.
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's great. I'm not saying he's not good in the original movie. He's great in the original movie.
Anyway, back on point.
Yeah.
So
it's like talking about like the invention usually disappears. Like that's not how it goes. It usually disappears after Candace!
This was a brilliant idea. This to me, I think is the most genius thing Lindelof wrote in the episode. It's the idea of like, wait a minute, Candace.
Yep.
That was genius. I love that.
And so she sees it, and they're like, she calls for Linda. But Doofenshmirtz the entire time has been like nonchalant about the whole inator thing until he's like, oh, it's an unexistinator. And that's when he was like realized like, oh crap.
This is bad. This I'm in a very untenable position right now. The unexistinator.
Pretty much.
Thankfully, the beam gets reflected thanks to Barry the Platypus, and it hits the hits the capsule.
Yep. As Candace comes out to show Linda.
Typical.
Yep. And
so then we end on a very Frasier-esque conversation.
Where Peter and Professor Mystery are in a coffee shop, and he's actually explaining his backstory.
Possibly Cafe Nervosa.
Yes, possibly Cafe Nervosa. But he explains that they accidentally created a black hole and decided to take it into space, but abandoned him in the process. And you're like, wait a minute.
Yep, you're putting it together, and the parents show up. They're all good. They didn't get killed off by the innate. He didn't kill his own parents, thank God.
Yep, no gritty reboot here.
No, it was close though.
Yep. It's like, and they're actually proud of it. Like, you have a nemesis? Like, why is he a panda, Bernie? but they're proud of him. They're proud of the fact that he actually has a nemesis, which is adorable.
Yeah. Yep.
So, the episode.
Then we have our ending, Jacob.
At the end, like Linda invites them in for some snacks. The Earth would have been destroyed, but they hope that no real damage has occurred. But then suddenly a polar bear is there behind them.
Then they address the polar bear
as Dad.
Hey, Dad, you want pie? Like, oh, that'd be lovely, boys.
Oh, boy,
then we reveal another Phineas and Ferb having kind of spied these goings on through like a little dimensional rift of some kind.
Keep in mind, it's the real Phineas and Ferb.
Yes. So the real what's real anymore, Jacob? I mean, the whole time, yeah. Maybe we've seen the exploits of the other Phineas and Ferb. You ever think about that?
It's like, well, the thing is,
tell them what the quantifier is, Jacob.
That Phineas had 4 white stripes on his shirt, and you only have 3.
Which is great. I love that catch.
But did you notice that in like a rewatch or whatever?
Yeah. No. So if you go, honestly, just went back a few seconds to confirm it. It's like, oh my God, yeah, he's right.
It's like it's a minor detail, but once you notice it, you're like, oh my God.
So you're gonna rewatch the whole show, and you're gonna see, okay, that one is 4, that one is 3. Lawrence isn't in this episode, so it might be the 4.
Yep, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Dragon, do you recognize the machine they were using to see the events of the other universe?
It looked a lot like the Phantom Zone projector.
Well, it's the sorbet machine.
All right. God. Apparently,
there's an extra stripe on his shirt for season 5. Like, yeah, it's an extra orange stripe though, from what I understand. And they're actually, and it's his size didn't change, but I think he said they put it in there to make him look a bit taller. Even though he's like the same size.
Yeah.
It's like, not to mention our dad isn't a polar bear.
Oh, not that we've seen yet.
Yep, so apparently Phineas and Ferb's dad is a polar bear.
Well, actually, Jacob, do you know what time it is?
Yes, I do, Dragon. It's
Gritty Reboot time! GRITTY, time for you and I.
Says I.
So, here's a twist for you. That polar bear, okay, it's either A, mind switch with Lawrence. That's the origin of that polar bear. The polar bear went to the Arctic. Boy switched him, couldn't switch him back.
What happened to Lawrence?
Well, I mean, he's no. So Lawrence, the polar bear. Sadly, the polar bear is like he tried existing in the Arctic as Lawrence, but he died of frostbite. Now, the grittier version.
Yeah.
Option B, if you will.
Yeah.
Option 3 stripe. So the polar bear took a fancy to Linda, and it fought Lawrence for the position of dominance, and then adopted an English accent after slaying Lawrence.
It's like it absorbed his soul.
I mean, I think more is like the polar bear killed him and says, okay, well, she's really not taken to this arrangement, so I'm going to sound like him.
That sounds good, boys. I am a little bit peckish.
So it's like, new dad.
he's a polar bear.
Yep.
It's like, apparently, according to the wiki, the polar bear is a reference to to Lost, but I don't understand how it is. So if anyone who has seen Lost, you might be, please feel free to explain how the polar bear is a reference to Lost, if you can explain in layman's terms, because unless it's like this like huge intricate thing that's like tied to the overarching mythos of the show, and that we won't understand with having watched like 20 episodes, then probably condense it a little bit. What would you say to that, Dragon?
Yeah.
And if I do find a comment on this next week, I will explain it to my best of my ability, but don't count on it.
Moving on to the next episode.
The Inator method. So yeah, where Doof gives a seminar, and the boys race planets. What are your thoughts on this, Dragon?
This one's pretty funny. I think we kind of phoned in our Candace plot, but aside from that, pretty good.
Yeah, it is kind of phoned in there.
There's a Candace who's trying to multitask, and she makes a mess of the house while online gaming.
Yeah, because she's backed up on her chores. So she won, but she doesn't want to lose in like the Ducky Momo MMO.
Yeah, she's trying to get a digital trophy.
The Momo MMO.
Yeah. Momo.
MMO. Ducky Momo.
Yep.
Alright. It's like so. Yeah. Did you notice that Did you notice some of the players in the game?
No, Jacob, I didn't.
Well, the two of them are named. Well, one of them is named Super Auto, which is based on one of the director Super Auto.
Oh.
Who, as we all know, also worked on Megas XLR.
Yeah.
And also a team comprising of Dan and Jeff.
Okay.
Which I don't think I need to explain. But Dragon, actually, now that I think about it, since we just talked about polar bears, I'm going to bring back a segment that we haven't talked about in a while.
Yeah. Oh.
Yep.
All right. Where are we?
I finally just an hours ago, I continued my watch through of We Bare Bears.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 episodes I just did were Creature Mysteries, where we have it's a Ranger Tapes and Charlie episode. The one where she saw Charlie as a kid and tried to find him again, which was a good one. And The Library. The one where they try to keep Chloe awake to study for her chem test.
Yeah. They hop her up on sugar.
Yeah, and then they hop themselves up on sugar to help her. I thought it was appropriate to bring that up, considering that we just talked about an episode that had a polar bear.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's my update on We Bare Bears. I thought you'd appreciate the callback there.
Yep.
So, back to this. So the boys are apparently having a don't move contest. And apparently Ferb loses because he moves his eye.
Yep.
So Dragon, explain the inciting incident for the episode.
Baljeet shows up in a stupid hat.
It's a solar system hat.
It's a cool hat. I'm just saying for the purposes of he's wearing a silly hat, and Buford's is playing around with it, and they're using the idea of like racing the planets.
Yep.
So it leads to the Galaxy 5000 race.
Even though it's a Galaxy 50, but 5,000 sounds cooler.
That is true.
Everyone knows like the bigger the number is, the cooler it sounds, right?
I think pretty much.
I mean, like the Indy 500, for example.
The SUX 6000.
And what's that a reference to?
RoboCop.
Oh yeah.
Or I think it's the 6000 SUX. I forget which direction it goes in there, but essentially it's the 6000 SUX. So the idea is the car sucks and it gets crappy gas miles, so it's called the sucks.
So the 3 letters was intentional.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
All right. Part of the Paul Verhoeven satirical
Yes.
nature, I guess.
God bless RoboCop. I mean, the original RoboCop and most of RoboCop 2, God bless them.
Most of RoboCop 2?
Yeah, like RoboCop 2 is iffy. I mean, RoboCop 2 has good stuff in it, but I mean, look, it's way better than 3. So I mean, you gotta give 2 points. Two made an attempt is just it wasn't Verhoeven.
And what about the remake?
Look, I like the remake, but it's nowhere near as good as RoboCop 1.
Well, few things are.
That's what I'm saying. Like I respect what the remake was going for, but there's a lot of had some neat ideas, but it just didn't. I think it was more. I'll put it this way: I think it was more consistent than RoboCop 2, but it's less impressive than RoboCop 2. What RoboCop 2 attempted,
but obviously not as good as the Verhoeven original.
Exactly, of course. I will say this though: the game. Oh my God, the RoboCop Rogue City game. That's what RoboCop 3 should have been.
I need to play that, but I should probably watch the first 2 RoboCop movies.
Oh,
first.
Absolutely, yeah. You should watch 1, then 2, and then play the game.
All right, and I'll see if I can find a way to watch them.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I confused RoboCop and Terminator.
Really?
Well, I mean, like I saw like a bargain. I saw like saw the movies in bargain bins, and I was like, oh yeah, it's like, and I thought they were. I thought they were like one was the other. I was watching Terminator, then I was like, oh, I'll just watch the other one, then watch that, and then I don't know how I got them mixed up. I was a teenager before I even when I watched them, so if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, not to mention Irvin Kershner directed The Empire Strikes Back, directed RoboCop 2.
That is true, and that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of good elements into like Irvin Kershner. I think did a really poor Kershner. He wasn't having a great time in that movie, but he did what he could, man.
But he still directed Empire Strikes Back.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like Kershner, I mean, he brought something to it. I mean, I still love. There's a scene in RoboCop 2 where no one ever talks about where Murphy, he does something really drastic and really dangerous because he's just been the corporation has just messed with his programming so much, and it's this great moment of like it's like if this kills me, it kills me, and all the cops kind of rally together to help him out. It's this beautiful little moment. Yeah. Of course, the moment though, oh god, there's like the problem is RoboCop 2 has like one of the best RoboCop scenes in it. But we do nothing with it right after it happens. Basically, we bring back his wife in 2 for a moment, and it's an amazing scene. It's great. It's sad. It's like Peter Weller is like he's always top tier. Like the scene that happens right before it that leads to the scene. It's like it's flawless, and then it's like, so we're not gonna bring back the wife at all after this, are we? Nope. All the missed opportunities there.
But I really do need to watch RoboCop.
Yeah. Oh, you do. At the very least, Jake, you got to watch the first one. Here's the thing. If you watch the first one and you like it, you should then watch the documentary, which is on Amazon right now.
I'm sure the original movie is also probably on Amazon.
Well, I think it's pretty much all. Between Max and Amazon, I think Max might have like RoboCop and RoboCop 2. Honestly, that's the weird thing. So I think they have
87, right?
Yeah, 87. Yes, just look into it. I'm pretty sure it's there.
Yeah, but I can rent it. What's the documentary called?
It's called RoboDoc, The Creation of RoboCop. It's 4 episodes, and it's like it covers every frame of the RoboCop movie, and it's brilliant.
Yep, there it is, and it's free. So
Yes.
I'll give that a watch then.
Okay. So let's see. So meanwhile,
So we have a little bit of Mary Poppins going on.
yeah.
So with Perry's lair entrance.
By the way, happy birthday, Dick Van Dyke.
100 years old.
100 years, baby.
Yep. Hard to believe, huh?
Yeah.
If we're going to do a third Mary Poppins movie, do it now.
Yep.
You did see Returns, right, Dragon?
I did. I liked it.
I did too.
Colin Firth was, he was okay, but he wasn't really like. We don't really need villains in Mary Poppins. I don't know. Yeah, it's.
But I mean,
It's not that we don't need villains. I think the execution was off with that guy. I don't know. But
and let's face it, a few things can top the original movie.
Yeah.
I mean, very few movies in general can top the original movie.
Emily Blunt was very good, though. She was very good.
I mean, she was perfect as Mary Poppins. Let's just
say.
I
thought she was. Yeah.
Practically perfect, I should say.
In every way.
Yes. And that's the reason why Lin-Manuel Miranda decided to be in them. He's like, okay, who's Mary Poppins? Emily Blunt. I'm in.
Sold.
Yep. But like I said, like few movies in general can top the original Mary Poppins. Anyway.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
It's like so yeah. It's like, did you? I appreciated the reference to Mary Poppins when Perry popping out with a chimney sweep.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so point being, Major Monogram's given a kind of a motivational speech to the interns, and the interns being just Carl.
Yep, he's probably planning on giving it to more than just Carl, but I mean, I wonder how many other interns are in the OWCA.
Not many.
Well, because remember, there's also Carla.
Yeah, you're right.
Who may or may not be related to Carl.
Be really twisted. Carl was dating Carla.
Yep. Who knows?
Or maybe Carl is just Carl. Just it's his other day job.
All right. Then.
He's just collecting like double the non-pay.
It's like he already has the title. He already has the title of paid intern without the pay. So
maybe it's like kind of a Tootsie situation where Carla actually gets paid,
but Carl doesn't.
And Carl doesn't, and maybe he's trying to uncover the whole. He's trying to uncover the whole corrupt system of Alka. He's trying to expose, like, look at this double standard. Look at it.
Dragon, there is an episode in the upcoming season called "More Than an Intern," so there might be something there.
Yeah.
So
anyway, Doofenshmirtz, he's been sent to a deal with Doofenshmirtz.
Yeah, and Doofenshmirtz, as it turns out, is giving a seminar. Apparently, a motivational seminar.
Yes, I love this idea. I love the 8-step program of the Doofenshmirtz plot applied to everyday life, and basically the idea that this time, essentially, it's a conceptual-inator. I thought that was so funny.
Yep.
And seeing Norm at the merch table was just priceless to me as well, because I've been to these conventions, and mind you, the merch tables aren't like it's not a. So when I say these conventions, I don't mean I've been to a convention. I've seen the merch tables, but they're not like like these actual seminars. They do have stuff like this. I've heard about these kind of things. So seeing it in practice, it's like it's just basically swampy, and it's Bob Meyer and Swampy's kind of making fun of like these self-help seminars that are very much as cash-ins, but trying to bilk people out of money.
like a lot of conventions do.
Yeah. I mean, I think the funniest thing was just, of course, when we hit them with the motivator.
And all it does is motivate them to buy Doofenshmirtz's merch.
Look at all this useless junk.
Yep. Just like I said, just like a real life convention.
Yep.
It's like, look at all this stuff I don't need.
God, so
awesome.
Anyway, so
I mean that's apt considering I'm about to go to a convention in a couple weeks.
My favorite detail was like the king size sheet on the it's like all these little tips like on the present the little slideshow, and it's like the king size sheet like basically would be handy to unveil the said inator.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So, back to the race. So, we have like these. The planet race looks really cool. The idea of these giant, like, kind of hovering planets.
Yeah.
Kind of racing through the city was really neat. I love the the Uranus. It's like that's not how you say it. It is on this channel.
Yep. Instead of just doing a joke about Uranus.
It's just really funny. Just a little fourth wall break on this channel.
And then technically Uranus Uranus, as he pronounced it, is actually the actual pronunciation of the deity that Uranus is derived from.
Mm.
There's a dragon. Do you want to? There are all kinds of Uranus jokes we can make about this.
Oh, so many.
Yep. Of course, the classic 63 Earths can fit inside Uranus.
Yep.
64 if you relax. And of course, Dragon, how familiar are you with Mass Effect, the game series Mass Effect?
Not very.
Well, it's like, it's just like a sci-fi space.
Yeah. It's a sci-fi. Yeah.
Like, well, in the second game, they introduced mining, and what you can do is send these little probes to the different planets and gather resources. And one of the planets you can go to is Uranus. And doing so prompts the ship's computer to, like, say a special line of dialogue, saying, like,
"Are you ready to probe Uranus?"
It's like, well, actually, no. It's like she's like, "Really, Commander?" And then when you do it again, she's like, "Probing Uranus." And the thing is, like, almost all the resources of that planet have been depleted. So that means he's not the first one to do that.
Okay.
So it's like, hey, we're making up for this show's lack of Uranus jokes.
Yep.
Which means this show is his better class than we are.
Yeah.
I mean, even Freakazoid got in on it. Remember? That's Uranus. I mean, just out of nowhere, right?
Or in Austin Powers at the end of the first movie, it always had the whole like, well, that one looks like Uranus.
Oh God, that movie's ridiculous.
All right, so Jacob,
Yeah.
the brother you wish you had is in this episode.
Yep, Albert.
Yeah, Albert. The far better version of your half brother.
And it's like Albert, what are you doing here? He's
just like that.
Like Pluto's not even a planet.
It's an animated sidekick.
Like Pluto's not even a planet. That is still in dispute. Like Pluto will always be a planet in our hearts, right, Dragon?
Oh yeah.
I mean, would you agree to that? Pluto will always be a planet in our hearts.
To me, it's still a planet, buddy.
I mean, I want to call it a planet, but it's.
I love Neil deGrasse Tyson's awesome, but there's some things we gotta.
When it comes to certain scientific takes,
I'm gonna say, look, Neil deGrasse. In general, I think he's a cool guy. But, I always want to be nice about Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's like the one thing. You know what, Neil? Why couldn't you let us just have this? You can unlock all the other mysteries of the universe. Let us keep that one.
And when it comes to astrophysics and all that, I agree with him. A lot of his other takes, though, has been kind of iffy lately.
Well, I just meant kind of like I liked how he's reflected in pop culture with things. I don't really, I'm not.
Yeah, I know. I'm not denying that.
Yeah. Anyway,
but Pluto's still a planet.
There you go. All right, so we have the cool floating planet race. Baljeet wins. He wins a little digital trophy.
Candace, meanwhile, doesn't.
She screws up all the tasks. The old sponge gets in the sink. Everything's flooding. The clothes are in shambles. Everything's a disaster. She's vacuuming up the carpet. Linda comes home to see all this. Meanwhile, somebody has been motivated into buying the racetrack for the grand sum total of
$5.
$5.
And Buford just it's this amazing thing. It's super tall. These planets aren't even attached to anything. They can pilot it. $5.
I don't put that in the bank. So with 1% interest. Ha!
I'd buy that for $5. See him?
Yep, RoboCop.
Yep, I'm tired. I know some things about RoboCop Dragon.
Yep. So then we
It's
have
like,
the
but I don't think Phineas and Ferb recouped their building costs on that.
Nah, but apparently, there's unlimited resources are there, or really they've invested they have several holdings that we never get into.
I mean they
They're
have.
letting their parents live in squalor, but
It's like, yep. I mean, remember they have sold some of their things before, so.
Yep.
And according to one episode, they may or may not be serving on the city council. So
There you go.
I mean, but that was in a dream within a dream, so who knows how true that is?
Yep.
It's like, and I don't know. Do city council members usually make money?
Well, I don't think so.
At least not to if they do, at least not to
I mean, I think they have day jobs besides city council. I think city council is like literally. I don't know. Councilmen maybe, but look, let's not. I don't want to get into that right now. Let's just.
I mean, I'm just saying, like maybe not to. If they do get money, it's probably not to the extent of how.
You're right. It's not a lot of money.
If they do, they probably wouldn't be able to afford to do what they do anyway. So,
Yeah.
but again, as we always say,
We don't care.
Exactly. Anyways, then we end on angry mob chasing Doofenshmirtz.
Yep. Nah, as you know, as you do.
As you do.
Eh.
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
All right.
And so, Dragon, I've realized a bit of a potential conundrum that we have.
What now?
Well, the next episode listed on Disney Plus is one of the hour-long specials, but the next episode produced is the 22-minute episode. So, do you just want to continue doing it based on the Disney Plus order?
Jacob, you decide.
All right, so we're going to be doing things the Disney Plus way now. Just because we're so close to the end, I don't think it really matters. I'll still list the episodes as they are. All right, as they are in the production codes as we've been following. So, the next episode. So before I get to that, thank you, Aquatad and Little Blue, for joining us this evening. And I realized I forgot to switch back to this.
Ego.
Yep. So I apologize for that. I apologize you had to stare at animated me for so long.
The horror.
I feel like I have a lot to say about this specific 22. Yep, I think we do. I think we will. But we have a couple episodes before we get to that.
Yeah, and we're probably going to end on that one, aren't we?
Nope.
Okay.
The final episode we're covering is one of the hour-long episodes.
That.
It is not the finale. It does have a sense of finality to it, but it's not the finale. If that makes sense.
All right.
So, join us next week for one of the hour-long episodes where Alka and Love Muffin collide. Good night, everybody.